Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Parmelia Parham. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute, and we are a worldwide hub of holistic practitioners that are out to make a difference in health and healing in the world. So we want to bring hope. We are actually bringing hope to people that there are alternate ways to be well and stay well. And I'm passionate about creating the Healing Institute and having our amazing holistic practitioners so that we can give people the opportunities to connect with them and have these amazing holistic modalities for their health. So each week I have a guest co-host, and today I'm really delighted to have one of our holistic practitioners, Marie Piplivic. So we're going to have a conversation about transformational healing and health, because November's theme is transformational health. So you might wonder why this was important to me, why I created the Healing Institute. And I did because we did have a tragedy in our family a few years ago. My mother passed away at a very young age. She was 61, and it was due to complications of a medication that she'd been on for a long time. And the reason that I'm so interested in doing that, and one of the reasons I called the Healing Institute is because I am passionate about educating people about the ways that they can be well and stay well. So unfortunately, she passed away just before Christmas. It was on December 15th. I was 5 months pregnant with my son, and I don't want that tragedy to happen for anyone else. And it not only was a tragedy that she died so young, but my children never got to meet their grandmother. And that is something that I really want to prevent, help to prevent for anyone else. So that is the reason I created the Healing Institute. And presently we have 10 practitioners representing 6 countries. And my vision is to grow that much bigger. So please let people know, definitely clients, let them know that if they're looking for alternate ways to be well, they can come to the Healing Institute and they can type in the search bar whatever issue they might have, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. If they type in the issue, the practitioners that help with that you'll get a list of those practitioners. So I want to welcome Marie. Thank you so much for coming on today, Marie. I know I've had you on the podcast a few other times, but this was delightful that you were here because we really do want to talk about transformational health, and the work that you do is so amazing as a transformational wellness coach, helping women in that midlife. And I know you have a little story about that. And also, you're such an amazing conscious breathing facilitator. I've been able to be a part of some of the breathing exercises and events that Marie is part of. So welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Parmelia. I always enjoy it when you invite me to be here with you. So this is fun. I like this. So yeah, let me start with a little bit about me. I back in 2014, so over a decade ago, I was at my worst. I had ended up in the hospital, and it was really all about years and years of burnout and how it just kind of cycled into my life, and I wasn't dealing with it well. I didn't have the tools. And so I really found myself in intense physical discomfort, and I ended up in the hospital. And so I was in a very dark place. I didn't give up. I wanted to give up, but I didn't. And at some point I decided I had to find ways to help myself, that I needed more. I needed to find tools. And so I went on a search, and I found the tools that have helped me to now, I say revive and shine, to bring the
Mm,
joy and
I love
vitality
it.
back into my own life. And so now I share that with other women who are really collapsing into the feelings of overwhelm, of exhaustion, of discouragement that burnout can cause. and it forces them to miss work or to go to work with an attitude of I really don't want to be here, you know. So I help them move through that burnout and get back to a place where they have joy, focus, and zest for life again.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
Yes, it's so important. And, I think as women, certainly that midlife time, and it could be anything for you, or, everybody's different. For me, it
Yeah.
was when I turned 50. I was like, oh, okay, you know what? There's some things I don't want to do. And so I'm just not going to do them. It was like kind of like taking back your own power. And
Yeah.
especially when I was a wife, I was a mother, that's what I thought my purpose was until I realized that no, there is a bigger purpose for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so oftentimes we've been caught up for many years in those roles that we, may have chosen,
Yeah.
probably did choose.
Hmm.
And then we get to that certain point in midlife and we go, this is not fitting for me
Yeah.
anymore. I was like you, I lost my joy. I didn't have
Yeah.
my joy. And I've always been a pretty joyful person. So I was like, I need to do something. And I did exactly what you did. I did searching, I searched and very fortunately found
Yeah.
a teacher that I studied under for 8 years, and
Yeah.
gave me all of the tools that I needed to do this work now.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And I think that's what happens is we get to that place of, oh my God, there's got to be more than this, right?
exactly.
You
I
are
remember
just,
writing that in my journal one night. There's
yeah.
got to be
And
more to life
there's
than
gotta be more, this doing all the time. There's gotta be more. There's something inside that wants to come through. And, and so, yeah, that in itself is the beginning, I think, of transformation. If we look at a butterfly, right?
Mhm.
The butterfly starts out as that caterpillar that has to go through the discomfort of being cocooned up in this, cocoon, and then find a way to break free, right? And I heard a story about how butterflies, if we went over and helped them get out of their cocoon, they would not be able to fly because
Ah,
part of the process of transformation is to go through that discomfort, is to take that discomfort, find the gift within it, and then blossom from there. And so I feel like our discomfort is the start of our cocooning,
absolutely. And
of
I'm
our
so glad
trans.
you mentioned that because,
Yeah.
we're not taught to be comfortable with the discomfort.
Right.
We're taught to run away if it's fear. Oh my gosh, it's here, I don't want to be part of this. But
Yeah.
it's so important. We have to sit with it. We have to
Mhm.
be whatever is happening for whatever reason, because that's what's going to help us transform.
Right.
And just like, there's many, many women that I've talked to who had to go through a very discomforting time in their life in
Mhm.
order then to get to where they needed to be. And
Right.
that's transformational.
Right.
So,
That's how
yeah,
we heal. I mean, if everything, of course we all want this, right? If everything just was smooth all the time, how would we grow? It's when we get those little waves in life or big waves sometimes that we have to really go inward and we have to find our strength. We have to, like I said, I wanted to give up. I remember at one point I was in such discomfort that I said, take me now, God, just kill me. And then I said, oh, no, 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 wait a minute. I caught myself because I was going into that dark place and I caught myself, no, no, wait a minute, help me figure this out.
yeah,
So it's kind of like we have to go in, we have to feel it in order to step out of it. And I think with that, each time we do this, we get stronger and we grow more and become
absolutely.
closer to who we really want to be with more fulfillment in our life.
Absolutely. Yes. I had no idea when I was going through that transition about 20, a little over 20 years ago, that, I would be doing the work that I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a path, and it was certainly a journey. And I just am so grateful that it happened so that I feel way more fulfilled than the work that I was doing at
Yeah.
that time. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you talked about that because really that's what's important. And I believe that we need to understand that transition and understand how it's not going to be easy sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be
Right.
hard and it's going to hurt, but
Right.
that's really worthwhile because when you get to the other side, then
Yeah.
you realize, oh, there's so many opportunities that
Yeah.
you can feel fulfilled and be joyful.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah. It's like that discomfort is a little bit of a sign.
it
Start
is
looking
definitely.
at, and with burnout, come on. I was the same way. If somebody said to me, "You're burned out, Maria," I'd say, "No, I'm not." It sneaks up on you, and it doesn't just happen overnight.
Yes. Yeah.
It
And
I was when I reflect on this, think I was just slowly, gradually, because I didn't have the tools to manage the stress levels and things like that in my life. I was slowly, gradually, that burnout was happening over, I'd probably say 10 years at least, and until the point where it's like too much, until the body starts to beg for help, until you start having the physical discomfort that is
yeah,
the
and I'm
like
so glad that you
sign.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when your body is telling you that you're, either if you're getting headaches or any kind of physical discomfort, your body is telling you something's not going right.
Yeah.
And we need to learn to listen to our bodies.
Yeah.
And then be able, and then of course, have the tools or find the tools and be curious. Be curious
Right.
and find out why you're feeling that way, and look for the possibilities that could be. And of course, as I mentioned before, we have a hub of holistic practitioners that can help you do that. So
Absolutely.
tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about some of the clients that you have
Yeah.
worked with
Yeah.
and their results.
Yeah. Well, I just started asking my clients the other day. I'm kind of revamping some things. And I asked them the question about what was the number one result that you've
Mhm.
had. And so I've had some answers come through. And some of the answers are body awareness of
Hmm.
learning to listen, to hear, to feel the body. The other one is the messages from the body, how to really listen, and the confidence from that, from starting to be aware, starting to listen, the ability to be calm, to relax in the moment, to give yourself self-care, especially with women. We tend to, we were trained to do everything. So
For
to
everybody.
stop and give yourself that self-care. So some of those were the answers that I was getting about. You really taught me how to prioritize self-care, to be okay with taking care of myself instead of feeling guilty because somebody else needs something. So getting away from that people pleasing and realizing that if you can't fill your own cup, how are you going to help others? So
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yes, that's so important.
yeah.
Um, and it is so important because as women and sometimes men too have been
Mhm.
taught that we need to look after everybody else.
Yeah.
But you're so right. I like that analogy of filling up your own cup.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people use the analogy of the airplane. If you're putting on your own max oxygen
Right.
mask first before
Right.
you are going to help anybody else. So
Right.
it is a bit of a paradigm shift, I would say,
Mhm.
and a mind shift, a mind setting. And I know you really do help people do that with your
Yeah.
conscious breathing.
Mhm.
I've been so fortunate to be able to be part of some of your sessions that you do.
Right. Yeah.
And that is very, very helpful. I've used a lot of the breathing techniques you've taught me.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering, what the heck am I doing?
Uh,
Okay, just breathe, Cornelia, just breathe.
uh, yeah. Yeah. What am I? Well, and really it's a decision. It's a decision to say, okay, ask the question, like especially with overwhelm, what's going on
Mhm.
with that? What am I feeling in my body? Asking ourselves these questions, learning how to do that, to ask that question, to ask what is going on, what is my body trying to say, and just not listen with ears, but listen with what you're
Everything. Yeah.
experiencing.
Yeah.
And then and then remembering that we can choose to transform. Transformation is going to happen whether we want to or not, right? It's going to happen. Transformation can either go the healing direction or it can go the opposite, right? So transformation is happening with each and every one of us,
Always.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, I agree.
But we can actually choose to have that transformation go in a positive direction versus the other. We can choose by how we think, how we catch ourselves when we're thinking the negative. We're thinking the, oh God, I can't do this, or the whole world's falling apart. And we can choose to go, and we're going to go that direction, or we can choose to um, to make the decision that we're going to think about what if it went this way in a
Yeah.
more positive direction, or how can I, or why couldn't I, or what is one of Esther Hicks? We've talked about that. What is that statement? Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice? Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be
So
nice
there's
if this
all
happened?
these different tools that we can actually use to help us get out of that old programming and choose the more enlightened, the more higher vibration, the happier direction.
Well, and we know that with the law of attraction, the vibration you send out into the world is the vibration
Yeah.
you're going to get back. So if you're sending
Yeah.
out those negative vibrations, well, guess what? That's
Yep.
probably what's happening for you in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
And so when you can have that, I mean, we all that negative thoughts will or
Oh,
show up
yeah.
for all of us, right? But
Oh,
when you can
absolutely.
do that reset and the faster and the sooner that you can do that
Yeah.
reset and go, no, I don't, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want that. And so then think of a positive, something positive that's opposite to that. Then you're sending out the positive vibrations out into
Yeah.
the world. And so you're going to get those positive vibrations
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. So we can make that choice. It's really a decision. And
Absolutely.
and 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 the work I did as an IT consultant, I was focused on software testing. So my whole job was to focus on finding problems. So guess what? My whole life became everything I saw through a problem. I was always looking for the problem instead of so
No
I didn't
problem.
have that tool of, I didn't know at the time that I could choose differently. And so, I was more negative than I would like to admit, but I was
But
because
you were, yeah, it
I
was,
was,
you were focused on your position and the work that you were
yeah,
doing, which you had to
yeah,
be
yeah,
searching, being curious and searching for what
yeah,
wasn't working.
right,
But sometimes we don't
yeah,
understand that then that takes
yeah. It
over the
took
rest of
over.
our life as
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so once the burnout hit, which was, of course, it had to happen. I'm so grateful for it now because what it did, it shifted my mind to like, okay, why can't I choose to think more positive and not look for the problems, but instead look for the gifts?
Yes.
So it's not necessarily an overnight process. We
No.
all would like to have everything just be, let's happen right now. Okay, I'm fixed. I have one session with Permelia. Okay, I'm fine. Or one session with Marie. Okay, I got it all. No, it's a process. I mean, when you think about how long it takes us to get to that point of the body, the
Yeah.
mind, spirit saying, it's time, let's move on. It's going to take some time to move through that. But each and every little bit, every step we take, every little step we take, we are expanding and we're getting better and at recovering from those
Yeah.
moments of negativity, or those moments that are making us feel sick or whatever.
Or less joyful. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that about the timing, because if we're talking about midlife changes, it's going to be when we're in probably our middle to late 40s, into my fifth, I was into my 50s,
Yeah.
some women even into their 60s. So if you've been living a certain way for that many years, it is going to take time. It is going
Yeah.
to take time to change for you to change your thoughts, for you to change how you want your life to be,
Mhm.
and start searching and start I always say be curious, Be
Yeah.
curious, start asking questions.
Yeah.
And another, I mention this fairly often, that what we got in trouble for as children is usually our gifts. So
Yes.
for me, I got in trouble for asking questions. I was always
Mm,
asking too many questions, I think, because my parents didn't know how to answer the questions I was asking. And I was too sensitive all the time,
yeah. I got the
way
too
too
sensitive
sensitive.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a big one for me too. I was too sensitive, and I was too nice. I remember being told, "You're too nice, you're gonna get hurt." So guess what I finally did? I put up the wall. So
Yeah.
I actually closed my heart for most of my young adult woman. I was in protection mode. I closed my heart because I'm gonna get hurt. So I had to I put up that shield, right? Well, now I'm at a place I know who I am and I don't want that shield anymore. It still comes up just like that. And I have to okay, I have to sometimes I forget, other times I choose to come back and be more open because I don't want to always have that shield up. That's keeping you from that's like your own wall in your own prison.
Exactly.
And if we can open up, then we can, I think, really enjoy life more if we can open that heart.
Well, and when we do open our hearts and more positive things come to us.
Yeah, yeah,
Even we're not necessarily consciously aware that
right.
that's happening, but it is happening.
Yeah,
Because again, that's the law of attraction.
yeah,
So when you're opening your heart with love and sending love out into the world and looking at the world from a positive point of view rather than a negative point of view,
yeah,
then those amazing, wonderful things are going to show up.
right. And those
So,
are all part of
and
transformation
you're right.
and all part of healing. I mean, I personally, I feel like I've gotten better with age. I've healed with age. I haven't gone the opposite. And so I really don't have any issues with aging, you know?
No, I don't either. And, people say to me, well, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, well, first of all, I have no idea what that word means. And
Yeah.
secondly, and they say, well, when are you going to stop working? And I say, well, I'm not really working because what
Yeah,
I do, I love what I do. So it's not really work. And,
right.
there's a whole generation of us, how we were raised, our parents got to age 65 and retired, and our grandparents probably the same. So we've had
Yeah.
a couple of generations that have shown us that that was the way to be. And now we in this newer generation, well, newer,
Yeah,
are we're actually pioneers. I
I
say we're
think so. I
pioneers
think we
because
are.
we are really forging a new way of life. Just like my grandmother and grandfather were pioneers on the Canadian prairie.
Hmm.
My I think their first house was a sod hut.
Yeah.
And they were pioneers on the prairie. We understand that
Hmm.
definition of pioneering.
Yeah,
But I do believe the generations now, our generation of women are also very much pioneers
I
because
think
we're
so.
forging new ways to
Hmm.
be and new ways to live our lives and be happy and be
Yeah.
joyful.
To find the joy. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we are at the end of our podcast almost. I just want to thank you so much for being here today,
Oh,
Marie. It's delightful always to talk to you, and I'm so blessed to have you as part of the Healing Institute with the work that you
yes.
do. And just because you're you.
Yeah. Let me
So
share
what?
one more thing that might help some
Please
of
go ahead.
the folks that are watching this. So when I had my burnout experience, learning, teaching experience, the surgeon told me that I would probably spend the rest of my life with pain. Well, I'm not going to say pain because I can't do that. I'm not a doctor or whatever. So I'll say discomfort. So
Mhm.
he did say that, even with the surgery, you're probably going to have discomfort. And I said, okay, but as I moved into taking more control of my own healing and using other tools, supplementing my healing with other holistic tools, that pain has not returned. That discomfort has not returned. Uh, and every once in a while I might get a little twinge because it was a sciatic thing. Every once in a while, I have the tool to like breathe it out and or use posture, or there's so many different ways that are holistic, that are not a pill, that
Mhm.
that can help move through that. So I he was wrong.
Yeah. And
And that's okay,
that it's totally
I'm
fine.
I'm
Absolutely.
glad
And
he said that, because that also was probably a trigger for me to say, okay, well, that means I got to help myself. If you don't
yes.
think so, in a way, I'm grateful that he said that.
And it
Yeah.
is so true. We have so many different ways that we can look at that physical discomfort and choose to do something different.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to mindset as well. We were grown up with the generations of, if something was wrong with you physically, you went to the doctor and the doctor fixed you.
Hmm.
And then we do know now, when my mom passed away, I don't think we even had we might have barely had the internet. So there
Yeah.
was, and she was a reader. She read up on everything, all the medications she was on. She knew what she was
Yeah.
on and she read up on all of them. But we didn't know the side effects,
Right.
and people weren't talking about side effects, and the information about the side effects were, and certainly, what can happen when you're on medications for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So now we have that information. So I always encourage people, be curious, do your
Hmm.
research. Whatever
Hmm.
the doctor says, okay, that's great, but that's just one
Yeah.
part of it. And
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah.
other piece of transformation that we're also doing is we're transforming the allopathic medical
Hmm.
information with our holistic medical information.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're not
No,
saying no,
we're
we don't want any more allopathic. And for people maybe you don't understand that, that's kind of our regular medical
yeah.
that we have, that people have grown up with. And the holistic, we need to make the blend. We need to join the
Yeah.
two together so
Absolutely.
that they're both working together and they're not
Mhm.
working apart.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
and I see that happening. I really see that. It's happening more and more. Like conscious breathing has now become a
Mhm.
very big deal, right?
Yes,
And it's not just in the conscious breathing community, it's in the medical world. It's in,
yes,
so it is happening. It's an evolution. So in a way, we could think of this as we are transforming, the whole world is transforming in a way, because we're blending these, they're coming together, and so we'll be in a different place in 20 years. you know I'll be here. I'm going to
I'll
stay
be
here
here
for a
too.
long time, so we'll get to see
I,
how it
I'm
evolves.
planning
i
to
mean
be here. I'm
i
looking
mean
forward to see
our,
that transformation.
our ancestors started the process, and we're just taking it one step at a time. You can't have it all at once. I mean, if we had it all at once, I don't think we would have been able to take it. I mean, things happen when they're supposed to, and
Yes.
when we're ready to make that transformation, and we're ready to go in that cocoon, and we're ready to break out.
And be that, and then we're ready to be that beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, so yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome? Just have all these, who knows, that might be our next step. We're all floating
Well, I
around
think
as
it is
butterflies.
in a certain way. We are transforming into
Yeah.
being, you know, more holistic and more and healthy, certainly healthy,
Yeah,
my,
yeah,
from a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual point of view. We're
absolutely.
looking at health and healing as that cocoon so that we can break free and be that
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
butterfly, because of what we've learned in that cocoon. And
yeah,
that's kind of what we've been doing, in talking about today,
yeah.
is as women, and we get into that burnout stage and we realize that, or we realize we're not in a place where we're happy,
Hmm.
or we're not fulfilling our joy, our joyfulness, then we are actually, we're in that cocoon, making that thing, making
Right.
those changes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we cannot go back. Once you become a butterfly cannot go back. You
No,
have to, you have to keep rising. You have to
yes,
keep flying. You have to keep, spreading those beautiful wings. So I think all of us have, both men and women, we all have, or masculine and feminine, I'll say, we all have that.
we do. I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has just been a delightful conversation with you, as always. And our vision, of course, is to create this community of expert health practitioners, and all of our all of our practitioners, they actually meet you where you are, and they will then customize whatever is needed, their modality for you. So it's not a one size fits all. So please go to the website and connect with the practitioners. For Marie, you can just type her name into the search bar, and her profile will pop up. And or you can put in any of your issues that you're having. And if you're having trouble breathing or sleeping, and we have a few things to give away, which I will, are in the chat, but I will put those into when I do the repost later this afternoon. I'll make sure that everybody can connect with Marie. And she has a fabulous audio for sleep, where it's breathe better, sleep better, she calls it. And so make sure you
Yeah.
download that one. So our motto here at the Healing Institute is service with love, and that's where we're coming from. We have a big ask. We are out to heal the world. So please share this podcast with your friends, with your family, with your community. Let them know that the Healing Institute is here. Let them know that we have amazing holistic practitioners. You got to meet another one today, Marie Piplovic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.